Hello, this is going to be a lesson on system of equations by elimination. By now we have learned two methods how to solve system of equations. We learned the method of by graphing and the other one by substitution. And today we're going to be doing the third one, which is by elimination. Basically here I have example number one. I have two equations and I want to solve this system of equations. Okay. Using the method of elimination, you're trying to eliminate or cancel one of the letters. So if you notice right here, I have positive 2x and negative 2x. And if I was to combine them two, they would eliminate, they would cancel each other because one is positive, one is negative. You would subtract. So in other words, 2x and minus 2x cancel each other. And then let's combine the other terms. I have 3y plus 9y. This would be 12y. And on the other side, I have 11 plus 1 equals 12. So you notice I can solve for y now. Divide both sides by 12. And that means the 12 cancels on this side. And you're left with y. And 12 divided by 12 equals 1. Alright. Now that means I have an answer for this system of equations. And I know that's going to be a point in the coordinate for y is 1. Now I need to find the x coordinate. To do that, I just need to pick one of these equations. It doesn't matter which one, so you can pick any one of them. So I'm just going to pick the first one. So let's say I copy the first one. And we're going to move the y and bring it to this equation, and we're going to plug it in. Okay, remember, whenever you plug it in, you want to make sure that you put parentheses. Okay, let me just fix a little bit here. There we go. So I'm going to take this guy over here and plug it in for y. So this would be 2x plus 3, open parenthesis, 1 equals 11. So this would be 2x plus 3 equals 11. I'm going to solve for x by sending the 3 to the other side. So it'll be 11 minus 3. 11 minus 3 is 8. We're going to divide both sides by 2. X equals 4. So that means this is 4. So my answer for the system of equations is 4, 1. Okay, remember that in system of the equations, you can always use the calculator to check your answers, make sure that you're doing it correctly. Okay, so let me demonstrate that. So let's say we pick the first equation, and we're going to put 2 parentheses, and we're going to put the value of x, which is 4, plus 3, and then instead of y, we're going to write the value of y, which we got is 1. And if this is correct, I should get 11, and I did. Let's check the second equation, negative 2 parenthesis x, so in this case 4, plus 9 parenthesis 1. Whoops. And if I press enter, I get a 1, and that verifies that the answer is correct. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to the next problem. So let's go down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do example number 2. Here I have two equations, and remember, system of equations by elimination, we want to eliminate. That means you want a number to have one sign on top and the same number with the opposite sign on the bottom. Basically, I want to have a positive here and a negative here, and they have to be the same number, the same digit, but that doesn't occur here. Here I have 3x and minus 5x, so they won't cancel. Nor here, 6 will not cancel with a negative 2. But one thing I notice is, what if I was to multiply these two by 3? Then this would become negative 6, and then they would cancel. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this equation here to the side, but in the process, I'm going to multiply by 3. Because the cool thing about equation is if you multiply both sides of the equation by the same number, that's okay, as long as you multiply both sides by that same number. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to multiply everybody by 3. So basically this would be negative 15x minus 6y. Notice what I'm doing. Negative 5x times 3 is negative 15x. Negative 2y times 3 is negative 6y. And negative 14 times 3 is negative 42. And on the top of with the top equation, I'm just going to copy over here to the side, so I line up the terms. So the number with x on top of the number with x, and the number with y on top of the number with y. And what that does is, notice now that before we had 6y and negative 2y, they don't cancel, but now by multiplying the bottom one by 3, these two here will cancel, and that's exactly what I want to do. That's the cool thing about the system of equations by elimination. So 3x minus 15x is going to give me negative 12x. And here the signs are the same. I'm going to add. I'm going to get negative 48. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 12. Okay. And that means x equals 4. Okay. Once you have one of the letters, just pick one of the equations. So let's say I pick the first one. You can pick any one of them. They will work. Okay. So I'm going to copy the first one. And I'm going to bring the value that I found over here, and I'm going to plug it in for x, because that's what we found. We found the value of x first. Okay, so let me fix that. There we go. Alright, so instead of x, I'm going to replace it with the value of x, which is, in this case, is 4. And everything else will stay the same. Alright, then we're just going to solve for y. Okay, so this I'm going to move the 12y to the other side. And we're going to have 6y equals negative 18. And I'm going to divide that by 6. Let me scroll this down a little bit. Y equals negative 3. Okay. So now we have an answer to this system of equations. And is it going to be a point where the x value is 4 and the y value is negative 3. Okay. Also remember that you can double check your answers to make sure everything is correct. So by copying the equation on the calculator, instead of x you put the values that we found. We found 4 for x and plus 6 parentheses negative 3 and press enter, and I got a negative 6. That's a confirmation that this answer is working. Let's try the next one. You know, it's always a good idea to check both just to make sure that you didn't make any mistakes. Okay, because sometimes it will work for one equation but it won't work for the second, and if that doesn't happen, then that means there's some mistake somewhere. Okay, so now we multiply. We got negative 14. Woohoo! That's our answer. We're pretty confident that this is the correct answer now. Alright, so let's go ahead and do example number 3 on the next page. Remember, you can stop the video at any time and go back and rewind and watch as many times as you want, or until you feel like you understand these concepts. Okay, All right, example number 3. On this one, I look at the two equations and I try to see if anything will cancel, and I noticed that nobody here will cancel. Also, this one is a little bit harder. It's kind of hard to figure out which number I should multiply by so something would cancel. When the numbers are not so obvious as the previous problems, what you're going to do is do this little strategy that I'm going to show you right now. Basically, just pick one of the letter. It doesn't matter which one. Usually what I do is I pick the ones with the smallest numbers. So if you notice, for example, x has 3 and 5 and y has 5 and 7. So I'm going to pick the ones with the smaller numbers, which would be 3 and 5. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 3 here and I'm going to use the 3 to multiply the bottom equation. And the 5 over here that is on the bottom equation, I'm going to move over here to multiply the top one. And what's going to happen? When I multiply 3x times 5, I'm going to get 15x. And when I multiply the bottom, 5x times 3 will give me 15x as well. So that will be closer to canceling. The only thing that's going to be missing is the sign. Remember, to cancel, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So in this case, I need to force a negative here somewhere. I need to either make the top one negative 15 or the bottom one negative 15. It doesn't matter which one. So let me go ahead and do the top one, okay? So basically what I'm going to do now is 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. Okay? And when I multiply the bottom, 5x times 3, I'm going to get 15x, and they're going to cancel. Okay, so basically that's what I'm doing. I'm manipulating the two equations. I'm changing them in my favor. Okay, so let's continue and multiply everybody. 5y times negative 5 is negative 25y. And then 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. And then I have 5x times 3 is 15x. And then 7 times 3 is positive 21. And 10 times 3 is 30. All right. So now if you notice, by multiplying by those two numbers, I was able to manipulate the equation so I would have a positive number and a negative number that cancels. So the 15x goes away, and I'm left with this. So this would be negative 4y, because signs are different. You subtract. 25 minus 21 is 4, and sign of the biggest. Negative 50 divided by 30 will give you negative 20. And now we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. And 20 divided by 4 equals 5. Okay. Alright, now we're going to do 5x. Actually, I'm just going to pick one of the equations. I'm going to pick the bottom one. It doesn't matter really which one. And we're going to move that number that we found back into the equation. So we're going to plug it in for y. Alright, so basically this would be 5x plus 7 times 5 equals 10. And this would be 35. And so we're going to have 5x 10 minus 35, because we moved the 35 to the other side. And this would be negative 25. Divide both sides by 5. So this would be x equals negative 5. Whoops. So our answer is going to be negative 5, comma 5. Now let's double check our answers by using the calculator. So we're going to use the first equation, 3 parentheses negative 5 plus 5 parentheses 5. And if this is correct, I should get a 10. And I do. Now let's double check with the second one, 5 parentheses negative 5 plus 7 parentheses 5. Press enter, and I also get a 10, so that means this is correct. So woohoo, got the right answer. I'm right on track. Okay, so let's go ahead and try the next problem, example number 4. So here we have example number 4, and we notice that none of the letters cancel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply top and bottom by a number. I look at the numbers here and I see that the numbers for x are smaller than the numbers for y. So I'm going to pick the 4 and 3 over here, the numbers for x, to do my manipulation. So basically I'm going to put the 4 over here and I'm going to put the 3 over there. Notice that you can choose any numbers. You could also have used 8 and 3, okay? But in this case I decided to use these ones because they're smaller, okay? Now notice that if I multiply 4x times 3, I'm going to get 12x, and here 3x times 4, I'm going to get 12x as well, and they're going to have the same sign, so I'm going to force a negative here. So I'm going to make sure that one of them becomes a negative, because I want 12x on the top and I want negative 12 on the bottom. Okay, I want one to be positive, one to be negative. Okay, now don't forget to multiply everybody by that number that you're multiplying. So let's do that. Negative 8y times 3 is negative 24y. Then we have 12 times 3 equals 36. And on the bottom I have negative 3y times negative 4 equals positive 12y. And 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. So what happened here is the 12x cancel. I'm left with 12y, because negative 24 plus 12y is negative 12y. Negative 24y plus 12y equals negative 12y. And then 36 minus 36, they both cancel, so I'm left with 0 on this side. And let's go ahead and divide both sides by negative 12. So that means y equals 0. Alright, at this stage now, you can pick any of these equations. So let's say I pick the last one. And we're going to bring this value that we found y equals 0, and we're going to plug it in for y. And so this would be 3x. 3 times 0 is 0, so b minus 0 equals 9. Now because it's 0, you don't have to write the 0, because 3x minus 0 is just 3x. Then you can divide both sides by 3. X equals 3. Whoops. So that means our answer for this problem is 3, 0. Alright? And again, remember, we can check with the calculator to see if we got it right. So let's clear the calculator and come over here and do 4 parentheses 3 minus 8 parentheses 0. And if it is correct, I should get a 12. And I did. So that matches what I was expecting. Let's try the next one. 3 times 3 parentheses 3 minus 3 parentheses 0. And I should get a 9. So let's see if that's correct. And yes, it is. So I know that is the right answer. Okay? Alright. This concludes the lesson for system of equations by elimination. Thank you very much for your time, and now you can proceed and try the assignments, the problems assigned for this lesson. Thank you very much. Have a great day.